down. That's how they're classified by the federal government. In most states, regulatory committees follow the federal government guidelines. Okay? Any other questions? Got all down pat, huh? There's going to be a 100 question test after this. I didn't tell you that? Yeah.
How much can a guy make selling something like the guys that you buy from? How much they make? I mean, I realize you don't report that to the IRS. How much can a guy? How much? You know, I see on 60 Minutes these guys are making unbelievable amount of money.
Well, it gets back to the old, the great American way. How industrious you are, I guess. But the people that we've made, and some of the feds that we've made, federal cases that we've taken on federal statutes, they make as much as, I would say, an average dope dealer in St. Louis, depending on the drug he's dealing, anywhere, I'd say average, $12,000, $15,000 a week. So the risk is definitely worth the trouble, which we'll talk about. What is the cutoff time for this class, by the way?
What happens to these guys like that? Where are they at? $12,000 a week.
Let me touch on that briefly. I'll answer it shortly. Just a little bit how we operate. All of you people are going to be taxpayers sooner or later, whether you like it or not. Death and taxes can't get away from them. What are the people here in Southern Illinois doing? Like I said earlier, they're doing a great job. Drive by from a street guy, try and buy from his connect, push the dope up a little higher, get bigger quantities, something a street dealer can't handle. If you can't get to the man, you usually buy him, and what that is, hey, I'll lay $200 on you. Take me to your man. Here's $200. This is worth your trouble. Introduce me to the man. You try to work yourself up the ladder. Go as high as you can. Then we get into different conspiracy statute because the bigger dope dealers, the bankrollers, will not, they insulate themselves. They have peons do their work, so what we get into is wiretaps and etc. Where conspiracy to distribute a controlled substance is the same as the actual hand-to-hand sale. A lot of aids that we use, we do a lot of videotapes. We will videotape at night. All we need is a cigarette lit. That's enough. We have certain vehicles. One vehicle we have has a periscope. It's a van, and we shoot through the top of the van. It's a periscope, just like you see on the old submarines. And we will actually videotape a dope deal to show it in court later on. We do a lot of one-party knowledge, which in the state of Missouri, one-party knowledge, and that is if I call you up on the phone and I can tape that conversation. In Illinois, you have to have court authorization. But in Missouri, you do not. Also to show how we operate. We also use informants, paid informants, police eagle, freak informants. And we do have informants that like to inform on their competition. Heck, we're not choosy. The guy wants to turn in his competition, we'll take him. Maybe the guy we bust will come back and turn in his competition. So that's how the game's played briefly. We're running short out of time. I want to cover some of this. Some of the new laws that I mentioned earlier that the feds have that the state doesn't have. Just to give you an idea, and someone answer your question, Jim, the different statutes. If we make a case and a guy shows up in a 1982 Cadillac and he delivers, say, a quantity of heroin to me, a teaspoon of heroin, when it comes bust time, and the undercover officers never make the bust, we'll have a suit and coat and tie guy that goes out and does that. Real nice looking guy, looks something more like teachers. And they'll make the arrest, and there's 2 counts. We charge the guy for the actual sale, and we will charge the car because it is against the law to transport a controlled substance. You have to get a lawyer for your car. Sounds funny, but it's true. We've never lost a car case yet. They've never gotten on a stand either. You take that one step farther. Any funds that are derived from the sale of a controlled substance. Same situation. Guy shows up. I buy a quantity of heroin from him, and he says, "Hey, great, John. I'm going to take this $2,600 and I'm going to go out and buy me a new motorcycle." Guy has no visible means of support. You can document that maybe 3 or 4 days later he did in fact go out and buy a new motorcycle. When it comes bust time, we take his car, we take him naturally, and we take his motorcycle because that's assets gained from the sale of a controlled substance. Take it one step farther, we also take his house if he has no visible means of support. And we also take his business if he has a private business. I mean, that gets into a lot of lawyer terminology, and our lawyers usually handle that. We do all the rough work, they handle all the silly work. But it is some great federal statutes. On the state level, we have it on the state level in Missouri, and I'm not sure whether or not they have it on the state level here. Different things, they have a wiretap on the federal level. State of Illinois is not a wiretap state. State of Missouri is not a wiretap. There's 26 states in the United States that are state-authorized wiretaps. Illinois and Missouri is way far behind. Unbelievable. Since we're running short of time, I have all the different class misdemeanors and all the different class felonies. If any of you are interested in, heaven forbid that you ever get busted on the way out of here or in the future. But if you want to know what the statutes read for the state of Illinois, I have that. I don't have time to go into it. I also have them for the state of Missouri. Missouri is unique. The sale of any controlled substance, whether it's a joint of marijuana or a kilo of heroin, is 5 years to life. Almost unbelievable in this day and age. Second conviction for a sale of any controlled substance in the state of Missouri is 10 years to life, minimum. Okay? So, without going into all the different possession charges and etc. Let me touch on a few other things. What else I got here?
Based on your experiences in this case, do you have any recommendations for these young people as far as the drug thing?
Yeah. I guess I could touch on that. If somebody is going to recruit you, since all of you are at a young age and an impressionable age, there's different techniques that people will use to recruit a dope dealer. One of the things is, hey, everybody else has done it. And most of you at this age, money comes a little hard, doesn't it? How many got part-time jobs? Okay. So the bucks, I know what it was when I was going through high school. We had to scrape $3 together to go out on a Friday night. But they use that money incentive. Hey, I don't want you to use the drugs. Just do a little bit of reefer for me. Okay? You'll keep a certain percentage. They'll use that because they know that you're open to the funds. They'll use it, somebody that's successful, somebody that else is a dealer for them. You might not know that they're a dealer, but they'll say, hey, Jimmy Johnson over here, see that new ride he's got? He's driving a whatever, a new Ford or whatever. How do you think he gets that? Whether the guy deals dope or not, I mean, you might not even know him. They'll pick out examples and make that look advantageous to you. Hey, I'll handle all the dope for you. I'll get it to you. You just push it to your friends. Move it to your friends. You'd be surprised how many would be interested in it. So to answer that, that's some of the scams that they use. Another scam that they use is they'll give you drugs and say something that they're not. LSD is a prime example. A lot of people are hep to LSD, that it is a get-down drug. A lot of people don't want to do acid because of all the latter 60s and early 70s scare tactics on LSD, and rightfully so. So they will sell LSD and purport it to be mescaline, which is an organic hallucinogenic. So they'll say, hey, we got some good mescaline. This mescaline just makes you a little smooth you out in the day. You had a bad day, do a little bit of mescaline, and everything will be all right. Well, mescaline is hard to come by. It's almost non-existent. In fact, what you're taking is LSD. Okay? We're running short of time. Anybody got any questions? Everybody absorbed everything, huh? Yeah.
Like, what happens to a person who buys from a dealer? Does anything happen to them?
If I understand your question, the person that buys from a dealer, if he or she gets caught with possession, then they go on to the possession statutes, which I didn't have a chance to mention. But, you know, how many in here were at the last talk that I gave? Everybody, huh? Cut your left arm off if you didn't like the talk. I'm glad everybody liked the talk. What we're going to do is going to kind of continue because last time we didn't have the time really. And it's like I said earlier, the drug scene is so diverse and so complicated. We could talk about it for 3 or 4 hours at least. Some of the things that I mentioned earlier, or the first talk that we talked about was, or that I was going to talk about was methods of detection, the state statute versus federal statutes, some of the different statutes, the court sentences, what the law says that if you commit a particular crime, what the law says, or what is set out in that penalty for that statute. Then we'll talk about jury pro and con, and then we'll touch on an outfit called the company, and possibly some of the different turkey law statutes that just came into effect. So, methods of detection. When you get involved, we'll talk about how we bust people, or how we show the court, the juries, what we do. The Narcotics Division for the St. Louis Police Department, and along with the DCI here in the state of Illinois, the Department of Criminal Investigation with the Illinois State Police, both our goals are dealers. We very seldom mess with the user, because we'd just be spinning our wheels if we mess with the user that often. The different ways to make dealers. We use the undercover police officer to make the actual buy from him. We use informants who will make a buy and testify. We use citizens. A person comes in off the street and wants to cooperate with us that he or she is buying a controlled substance from a particular person. They're not really classified as informants, but they'll testify in court, etc. The best avenue is the undercover police officer. How we operate is a guy on the street, such as myself, will start with a street dealer. He'll buy a quantity from a particular dealer, develop some kind of rapport with him over maybe 3 or 4 months. Maybe buy 3 or 4 times from him. Well, when I say buy, I'll buy a controlled substance from a guy or a suspect, pay $100 for it, take it to the lab. We'll document that sale, the date, the time, what the guy was wearing, his conversation, what he said, etc. Take that controlled substance, put it in the lab, have it analyzed, pick up the sheet in the morning, find out if in fact it is heroin, if that's what we're buying from him. And we'll hold that sale. We'll get the guy identified. Develop a rapport over a period of 2 or 3 weeks, buy from him again, maybe establish some kind of friendship with him. 2 months down the road, buy from him again. What we like to do then is try and buy what we call buy around him. Is say we're talking about heroin and he's dealing buttons of heroin. Remember I told you the $10 buttons of heroin? If he's dealing $10 buttons from heroin, he has got to be getting that from somewhere. Because it's common knowledge you can't grow heroin here in the Midwest, or at least the opium poppy plant. So we will buy around him. We'll hit him up for a larger quantity. And 9 times out of 10, he can't handle it. We'll hit him up for a teaspoon or a tablespoon. Remember I gave you the prices on a tablespoon. The prices go up. Hit him up for a tablespoon, he can't handle a tablespoon. He'll take us to his connect, hopefully. If he doesn't, we'll buy his connection. And that simply means, hey, I'm tired of buying $10 buttons. I'm tired of spending all my money with you. I want a quantity to deal with myself. And we'll give him $200 or $300 to buy his connect, and he takes us to his connection. We pay him $200 or $300. We buy from that connection for the same, work the same scam on him. 2 or 3 months, and then hit him up for an ounce. Usually a tablespoon or a teaspoon dealer in heroin can't handle a whole ounce, because that's usually all he gets is a half an ounce. So he has to take you to his connect. In other words, it's called working yourself up the ladder to get to the top guy. A top guy here in the Midwest is probably a half-pound dealer. Maybe in some cases or some instances he might be as big as a pound dealer. A pound dealer in heroin, when you're talking about pounds of heroin, you're talking wholesale right around 40,000 a week. So that's his profit. So if you get a mid-level, a high dealer of pounds in the Midwest, is very high. That's how an undercover officer operates. When we do those buys, to show the courts how the case progresses, we do a lot of different things. If I talk to a particular defendant in the state of Missouri, one-party knowledge, I think I mentioned this earlier, one-party knowledge on a phone conversation. You do not have to tell the person it's being taped. If I call this gentleman here in the black jacket or the brown jacket, and we discuss drugs or we discuss a transaction in the future, I do not have to tell him it's being taped. In the state of Illinois,